Well, Proverbs 14 has a lot of good family advice for us. So think about this in the context of your family to help you improve. Verse 1, every wise woman buildeth her house, but the foolish plucketh it down with her hands. Ladies, that one's directed to you. What do you think? Every wise woman buildeth her house. Do you think that means a woman should take an active role in her family, of improving her family and building up her family? And a foolish will plucketh it down with her hands, meaning she can build up her house or she can tear it down. It's up to her. So I'm looking forward to your comments on that one as well and reading those, and we can discuss that further in the comment section. Verse 2, he that walketh in his uprightness feareth the Lord, but he that is perverse in his ways despiseth him. Very important. If you'll have more respect for the Lord, the more you keep his commandments. Verse 3, in the mouth of the foolish is a rod of pride, but the lips of the wise shall preserve them. So a rod of pride, probably meaning that if you are foolish, you're going to believe in yourself so much that you will beat people with your words, verbal abuse. But if you are wise, you will use your words to help others, improve them. Verse 4 is an interesting one. Where no oxen are, the crib is clean, but much increase is by the strength of the ox. This is actually a good reminder of why children are an asset to us. Okay, and building assets is a good thing. If you don't have the oxen, you can't have baby animals that will further your herd forward. Your oxen are eventually going to die off, get old and die, or get sicknesses and things. So you want to have replenishment, want to have things moving forward. So good, that's really good investment advice in today's world. Have things that are moving, that are keeping up, keeping your interest, you're accruing on your investments is greater than what you're losing with inflation and other things like that. Verse 5, a faithful witness will not lie, but a false witness will utter lies. I think that one's pretty straightforward. A scorner seeketh wisdom and findeth it not, but knowledge is easy unto him that understandeth. Go from the presence of a foolish man when thou perceivest not in him the lips of knowledge. Wisdom of the prudent is to understand his way, but the folly of fools is deceit. Fools make a mock at sin, but among the righteous there is favor. So knowledge is a very important part of the gospel. Learning, not accepting what people have said, but doing the learning for ourselves. Putting things in place for ourselves is very important. How can we do more to improve our understanding of things? That's important to look at. And just be careful again of whose advice are we taking, and don't just take the advice and believe it because it's the advice. Understand the perspective of advice that's out there. That'll help you to really find the truth. Let's see, verse 10, the heart knoweth his own bitterness, and a stranger doth not intermeddle with his joy. So improve. It's really interesting because you kind of don't know, you don't fully understand yourself. There's things that you do that you don't even realize you're doing it, but everybody else around you recognizes it. So that's kind of what that's getting into. Verse 11, the house of the wicked shall be overthrown, but the tabernacle of upright shall flourish. That is true. Eventually that does happen. It's not immediate, but it does happen ultimately. There is a way, verse 12, which seemeth right unto a man, but the end thereof are the ways of death. So that one's, I wouldn't say that one's necessarily cryptic, but it's realized that, everything comes to an end at some point, basically. Let's see, verse 13, even in laughter the heart is sorrowful, and the end of that mirth is heaviness. So this is kind of showing a bit of a flip side of even good times come to an end. Things have an end. Verse 14, the backslider in heart shall be filled with his own ways, and a good man shall be satisfied from himself. The simple believeth every word, but the prudent man looketh well to his going. So very important, okay? Simple believeth every word. Just because it was said doesn't mean it was true. Very important. A prudent person is going to understand and qualify that information. So this is so apropos, I think, for today's world. Just because it's on the internet, just because it gets shared a bunch of times, doesn't make it true. And just because one political party says it versus another doesn't make it true. Always realize that. There are still lies that everybody shares and touts. So we need to be careful. Look at objectively the information you're getting and look at the other perspective too. Especially when it comes to politics, always study both sides. And that'll help you so much to not get deceived by the party lies. Let's see. So let's get into here more. 16. A wise man feareth and departeth from evil, but the fool rageth and is confident. I think we've seen a lot of that since the COVID pandemic of people who they're so confident in themselves and they just go crazy at it, and then they find out they went up their ladder was against the wrong wall. They got deceived. A lot of people in January 6th timeframe, they're getting charged with crimes now, are going, I thought what they said was true, and now I find out that they lied to me. This stuff happens all the time. It does not just Republicans, but Democrats have the same problem as well. So we need to be willing to examine, not just accept advice because of who gave it, but examine it to look for truth objectively. Verse 17, he that is soon angry dealeth foolishly, and a man of wicked devices is hated. The simple inherit folly, but the prudent are crowned with knowledge. The evil bow before the good, and the wicked at the gates of the righteous. The poor is hated even of his own neighbor, but the rich hath many friends. So I'm going to pause for a second right there. That one kind of jumps to the next set of ideas. So again, if you are quick to react and overreact to things, you're going to have problems. You need to slow it down. You need to be more prudent in what you're doing and take time to have that patience to learn both sides, and those things will help you out and do better. Now verse 20 is an interesting one. The poor is hated even of his own neighbor, but the rich hath many friends. That is very true. Wealthy tend to have a lot of friends and to go that way. So here's the flip side, though, because that's talking about monetary wealth. Verse 21, he that despiseth his neighbor sinneth, but he that hath mercy on the poor, happy is he. So again, it's not just the amount of money you have. You may attract more friends with wealth, but you need to be a good person, not just act like a good person. Verse 22, they do they not err in that devise evil, but mercy and truth shall be to them that devise good. In all labor there is profit, but the talk of the lips tendeth only to penury, meaning major poverty. So you can't just say it. You got to actually go do it. Put the work in to have success. Verse 24, the crown of the wise is their riches, but the foolishness of fools is folly. A true witness delivereth souls, but a deceitful witness speaketh lies. I think that's a good missionary work one. Verse 26, in the fear of the Lord is strong confidence, and his children shall have a place of refuge. The fear of the Lord is a fountain of life, to depart from the snares of death. In the multitude of people is the king's honor, but the want of people is the destruction of the prince. So fear of the Lord, again, is respecting God. Basically, the more you respect God, the more confidence you'll have in him, the more he can help you and you can overcome challenges. And I like in verse 28, talking about this idea, you can't be a king of one person. The more people you have in your kingdom, the more power and influence you have as a king. So again, that's the challenge now, is a prince who's the want to be king, the soon to be king. If all the people have left the kingdom, there's nobody for him to rule when he gets his chance to be king. Verse 29, I think, is a great one for us. He that is slow to wrath is of great understanding, but he that is hasty of spirit exalteth folly. How much is this one a big deal in today's world, where we think about quick to anger, quick to hate people, quick to put that negative comment on social media? Take time to calm down. Think about it first. Don't be so hasty to get into an argument with people. We see this, road rage is a big deal. Somebody walks into a restaurant, they bump somebody's arm, and that person gets up and gets mad, and the other person gets defensive because of their pride, what happens? Somebody's going to get hurt. And it's senseless. There's no reason for it. If the other person just said, "Hey, sorry, my bad. Didn't mean to bump your shoulder, your arm, whatever. I apologize. Forgive me." Okay, great. We sit down. We're good. Don't let pride get the better of you. Focus on that prudence of not getting angry. Work on that. Let's see, verse 30. A sound heart is the life of the flesh, but envy the rottenness of the bones. He that oppresseth the poor reproacheth his maker, but he that honoreth him hath mercy on the poor. So this is the good idea of our relationship. How we treat others is how we also treat our God. If we treat others bad, we're going to treat God bad. If we treat others well, we will treat God well. That's a whole, when you've done this unto the least of these, my brethren, you've done it unto me, philosophy that the Savior taught in the New Testament. So we don't have to, some people think I need to do good for God, but then I'll just treat other people like crap. It's not how it works. How you treat people is how you treat God, because he can see through the facades. Okay, let's see, verse 32. The wicked is driven away in his wickedness, but the righteous hath hope in his death. Wisdom resteth in the heart of him that hath understanding, but that which is in the midst of fools is made known. Righteousness exalteth a nation, but sin is a reproach to any people. The king's favor is toward a wise servant, but his wrath is against him that causeth shame. So some more advice about we should be wise in what we do, be prudent in what we do, not be crazy and wild, but be more thoughtful and understanding in what we do, basically. So let's jump over to the next Proverbs as we continue forward.